Hello and welcome to another episode of the now freshly renamed Conversations with Coaches podcast. I'm your host, Kevin, and I still love coffee. And today I have the pleasure of chatting with Steve Feld, who also loves coffee. Steve Feld is a certified business coach, author, podcast host, professional speaker, aforementioned coffee enthusiast, and award-winning business management executive. Steve is passionate about business growth, efficient operations, and long-term success. He has owned and operated 7 businesses and written 7 books. I mean, lucky number 7. Steve, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go back to before all these accolades and accomplishments. How did you get your start as a coach? How did you kind of realize maybe that you had the attributes of a coach, or maybe were already a coach in practice, and then go from that realization into starting a coaching business?
Yeah, I actually worked for a division of Warner Brothers, and I was traveling around the world working with musical acts, and I started doing process improvement for the division I was in because I was one of the founders of the company. I was the 5th employee. 10 years later, over 5,000 employees. And when they brought me in, they said, well, you and this other guy are going to create the division. So go. So it was kind of that. And then years later, I was like, I did process improvement, change management, efficiency, started making more money. Then all these venues that we were going into, they're like, wow, you're super efficient. Can you help us? So I started consulting when I wasn't traveling and doing it all at the same time. And I'm like, you know what, one day when I get off the road, maybe I should do this. So when I got off the road, I actually started doing business plans, marketing plans, and operational plans for tech startups. And they were all looking for venture capitalist money. And at the time back then, it was all the VC people were business people, not techies. Mm-hmm. So techies, I had to coach the techies how to speak business, which are numbers. And everything was going good, but we all know what happened to the tech bubble in 2000, and it burst, and so did my business. So that was my very first official business. Things were going good, and things disappeared overnight.
Yeah, so as people, I think we've been through a couple of, I don't want to call them bubbles, but a few salad days and then dry times, post.com bubble. It feels like as long ago as it is. I mean, it's 2 decades ago, but we've had the housing bubble, quote unquote, and we're going through what we're going through nowadays with, it's more than just crypto, obviously, but there's another, we all felt like everybody could make money. It was a bull market everywhere. And now it's a little bit more bearish to put it mildly. So I love that you just basically seems like a natural process of self-discovery, powered by just being in the action, where you were just like, do the thing, realize that doing the thing, this natural plan emerged. You were like, oh, I see how this works. I'm not just doing it. I understand how it works. Yeah. And then of course, like everybody around you is like, can I get a piece of that? Can I see those blueprints? Cause I'm looking to build something real similar.
Exactly. And I found my passion after all these companies. It's like, my passion is the owner operator. So my last company, or 2 companies ago, I primarily worked with C-suite individuals, and I started realizing something in there. It's like, you know what? My passion isn't there because theirs isn't. They're under a contract. They're still an employee, and they treat it like employment. Whereas an owner operator, listen, I know what they're going through. I know what it feels like to wake up at 2 in the morning in a cold sweat worrying about payroll tomorrow and how you're going to do it. I get that a lot easier, and I've been the C-suite. But C-suite gets to go home at night and can leave the troubles and pass it on to someone else. Whereas the owner operator, guess what? It's 24/7. Welcome.
Well, it's got all the perks and all of the other things that are not perks.
You're on vacation. Guess what? You're still in your business. Hopefully you set up your business the right way to really enjoy that vacation.
Yes. And let's natural transition. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. Obviously, the who you coach, you have that passion for the owner operator. So we'll talk a little bit more about the who, like at what stage you tend to coach them, at what stage they tend to seek someone like you out, and also how you coach them, whether you primarily work in one-to-one scenarios, small group coaching, or masterminds. Obviously, you're a professional speaker. So yeah, talk about who you coach a little bit more and also how you coach them.
Yeah, the biggest thing is for years, I just did one-on-one, and I was happy as a clam doing that. And then I started realizing I have being a coach, and I love business. I realized I can't scale, because I had the same problem when I had a consulting company. I can't scale that way. So I sought out the right help, and I started bringing on coaches underneath me. So that kind of eased that up. And then I started bringing in group coaching programs, because I have all this material and all this knowledge. So now I even have it automated and live. So it's a little bit of mixture of both. I want to give it a little bit more oomph than just your everyday group coaching. So group coaching is probably the biggest thing right now. And I've been a facilitator of mastermind groups for years. And the way I look at it, it's like, okay, great, let's get at least 6 people in and up to 12, and let's go. And the magic is unbelievable in a mastermind, because it's so hyper focused. There's no turnover in the group. People are in it to win it. And the sharing and caring is just off the charts. And I learn something new all the time.
Isn't that always the case? Like when you really are focused on like organizing and facilitating sort of a giving, generous circumstance, you tend to benefit so greatly. You almost feel embarrassed by how much you learn and how much you get from the process of just putting the right people together and helping them to, basically helping them to help each other and help themselves. It's really, it's quite lovely.
Because it's amazing what people really know and what their experiences are without them telling it to you in a networking or something. It goes deep. And all of a sudden, someone will ask that one question to someone else. And all of a sudden you see everyone's light bulbs going on in the room. Going, oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
No, I love that. And also I appreciate the size that you cited, the 6 to 12. There is really that sweet spot where it's like you get a little bit too big, and there's a tendency to kind of break off into like splinter groups, and like the power gets a little bit more diffused at that sort of in between size. But that 6 to 12 is really, and if you have committed people, like just by being in the group and they're like, we are here, like I like that phrase, in it to win it. Because one of those things where if you have 1 or 2 people who are not taking the process seriously, they can kind of throw off the balance of the mastermind. But if you get that commitment up front and be like, look, this is what this is about. If this isn't for you, that's fine. We can talk about some other ways I can help you. We got other things to do.
Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah, we vet them and get them in a contract. We make it official. It's like, listen, I've seen the magic. I can produce the magic. It's like, but you got to be here and be present and be willing to give and receive.
Important, a nice distinction right there, to give and to receive as well. It's sometimes a little bit, you'll focus on one to the exclusion of the other, where you'll be, and I find this to be true of some coaches as well, very service oriented, like just looking for ways to help. But there's a big part of being helpful and being of service is also just being ready to receive what's going to come your way.
You don't know. And there's times like someone's in a hot seat and getting some feedback, constructive, positive feedback, and they're like denying it or say, I've done it before. And it's like, you're missing the point. I mean, because your wall is up so hard. And what they're saying is a different angle of what you've ever done, but you're rejecting it. So you can't receive it.
It's funny how reflexive that rejection can be, how self-protective we think we're being, or maybe I say think, we don't even necessarily think about it consciously. We've done that thinking years ago. We just haven't updated it for a while.
There you go. Yeah. I know, I've always done it like this. I went in 3 companies and first thing I heard was, well, we've always done it this way. So I said to the whole staff, 700 people, I said, we have a jar in the office. Every time you say we've always done it this way, you have to go there and put $1 in that jar, and I'll throw one hell of a party at the end of the year. Within 6 weeks, not one person ever said that again. And we threw one hell of a party for that staff. It was thousands and thousands of dollars.
I was about to say, I'm sure that's a hard habit to break, because that is really, there's that. It's funny because it's like almost a negative consequence of positive momentum. You get things going, you start things are working for where you were, and they get you up to where you are right now. And it's like, okay, so why are we still doing things the way we're doing them? Oh, because we always have. No. There might be other reasons that are valid, but that's not one of them. $1 in the jar.
Yeah, my whole thing was like, well, if you've always done it that way and it works today, I wouldn't be here. They brought me in because it doesn't work today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice, a very succinct turn of phrase that I've loved for quite some time. What got you here won't get you there.
That's it.
Just a real quick, like something that the brain can really quickly understand. It's like, that's great. I'm glad that what worked in the past has gotten you to this point right now where we could be talking together and figuring out what the next thing looks like and what you need to do next and how you need to start thinking. And that's just, that, like you said, that's where the magic is.
Yeah. I mean, if we've always done it that way, how many businesses would still be using ledger paper for their accounting? I mean, there's a great example. We've always done it that way.
Yeah.
I did run into a company that was doing 20 million a year, still doing ledger paper, not one computer in the place. 20 million a year.
Wow.
Not profitable, but 20 million a year.
Oh, for some reason in my head, there's the sound of like a dot matrix printer grinding in the background. And also
one of those.
One of those?
That was for the sales team.
Oh my goodness. They splurged for the sales team. I see.
Yeah, they had the old compact. I mean, the kind that when computers first came out, that's what they had.
Okay. I will step away from the waves of nostalgia. Where, kind of a two-part question. Where can people find out more about you, your coaching business, how they can basically learn more about you, maybe like get into some of the one-on-one, some of the group, learn more about the coaches that work with you and for you. And also simultaneous to that, where can people connect and engage with you? I know there's a lot of times there's the check out the website and learn more through, you know, all this different information we have. And also there's that desire, especially on LinkedIn, I find, just like connect with people and start conversations that are maybe a little more informal and then move quickly into formality. So yeah, where can people find out more about you and also connect and engage with you?
Well, obviously the website, as you mentioned.
Of course.
But I'm on all social media platforms under Biz Coach Steve. The LinkedIn, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn. That's where I hang out the most. I even have a private Facebook group and a public group in Facebook as well, and have my own podcast and even my own brand of coffee. So you have to talk about being a coffee enthusiast. But yeah, I always offer to people, it's like, hey, let's just jump on a quick 15-minute non-sales call, learn a little bit more about each other, see if I can even help or provide you resources or give you the direction you need to help your business. Because my whole goal is I'm tired of seeing small business failure rate stay the way it has been since 1932. It has not changed a bit. And my goal is to help these small business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, like, come on, let's get this going. Stop making it so difficult. I've been there. I know it. Stop it. Once I got help, my life changed. I'm even talking to my coach today. I'm so excited. Hey. Yeah, how can I tell someone to have a coach if I don't have a coach?
And it's an important thing. I feel like it's sort of implied. I love every single coach I talk to, just to everybody who's listening out there, every single coach I talk to has a coach. They do. They might not, and they're happy to talk about it. It's not like private. It just doesn't always come up because when you're in the coaching, you're like, of course I'm getting coached. But like, just realize that like, you don't necessarily grow out of coaching. It's actually something that you grow into and grow with. I think if that sounds a little bit too poetic and cute, then excuse me, but I find it to be so.
You're right. And you know what? Coaches will get you to the certain level. They'll work on certain things with you. And then guess what? You'll go to another coach that takes you to a different place. I mean, I have two coaches going on. They're working in two different parts of my life, my business. And guess what? They don't cross over.
There are as many ways to be coached as there are coaches, and there are as many coaches as there are people.
Got it.
I feel like that's where we're moving. That's where we're moving. And I love being a part of it, and I love what you're doing. So Steve, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about what you do. And I feel like we could, well, I know that we could easily chat for hours and hours and hours, but thank you for slicing off a short period of time with me today. This has been great.
Great. Well, thank you for having me.
And to the audience, we'll talk to you again soon. Find Steve, reach out, learn more about him, ask him about his coffee, ask him about his favorite hockey team, and you will definitely have yourself a fine conversation.
Yes.